All right. Okay, we're ready to get started here. Welcome everyone to the July 29th Recreation Commission meeting. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the lands on which we gather are the unceded territory of the Comox First Nation, the traditional keepers of this land. Online today, we have alternate Director Wells here for alternate Director Jolicoeur. I'd also like to welcome alternate Director Minions and Trustee Waite as well. And our first item of the day is a resolution status report. Any questions or comments on the report? Seeing none, anyone opposed to receipt? And that's carried. Our first report of the day is the Comox Valley exhibition funding request. And I'll pass this over to staff.
Thank you very much. And Trish Morgan will be presenting this staff report on the funding request from the Exhibition Society. Trish, over to you.
I'm sorry, I'm just having a challenge with the microphone interface. It's.
You want to press the one beside you? Other way?
Yeah.
Other way. Maybe.
Could be all of them. Director Grieve, would you hit your button for me? Yeah, it looks like we might need to do some troubleshooting here.
If when it does that at council meetings, I just click refresh on the browser, and then you may have to just type in the password, which is conveniently on a sticker.
Thank you. I'll give that a try. Where is the
capital B board? Yeah, I've said it for everybody.
Well, they have to. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we have a number here. Oh, could you press one more time? Is that working? Okay, perfect. Thanks. Sorry about that.
All right, so this report is follow-up to the Comox Valley Exhibitions delegation to the Commission on May 13th, where the group provided a presentation on the history of the Fall Fair and their plans for 2025. As we know, the Comox Valley Exhibition is a long-standing nonprofit organization that's been celebrating and educating the Comox Valley on agriculture for 151 years. Like many organizations that run festivals and fairs, they're currently facing a financial strain that's impacting their ability to deliver a successful 2025 exhibition, despite the CVRD having provided $131,000 in grants between 2008 and 2025. While this funding has been provided through a number of historic grant functions, since 2021, the organization has been provided these funds through the Recreation Grant Service 600. CVAX has some outstanding debt that they've incurred amounting to approximately $18,500, and this includes $6,172.32 for the rental of the exhibition grounds in 2024. As such, they've requested that the Commission either reduce or waive their fees for 2024. The recommendation from staff is that the request to be relieved of the 2024 exhibition ground rental costs in the amount of $6,172.32 be approved to support the Comox Valley exhibition, and further that the Comox Valley exhibition return to meet with staff after the 2025 Fall Fair to review future recreation grant funding options. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Thanks for that report and getting this back to the commission since we had the delegation. It looks like Director Grieve is up first.
Thank you very much. Just a little background. I've been helping out with the Fall Fair now for a couple of years. And I think everybody that has ever been involved with nonprofits know that some nonprofits are a little more organized than others, and volunteers, some are a little more fiscally astute than others. In this particular instance, the executive we have this year is a new executive, which of course there was some anomalies that may have occurred the year before. I think the big thing is just to get it over the finish line this year because as you probably realize, musical festivals aren't doing great anywhere right now on Vancouver Island. We our own music fest had to pack it in. It's compounded by the fact that Cumberland stole the Rib Fest off us. So we have two major events in the valley on the same weekend, which is a little challenging as well. But I think we have to get it over the finish line because we're going to hear probably pretty quick whether or not we get the musical ride next year. And in the years they've had the musical ride at the Fall Fair, they've ended up very much in the black. So I think that's the big thing is to make it through the next year. And certainly we hear. I understand that we're tightening a lot of the financial system up. We have a new treasurer. Lori Ball is the president here, and so I think we're turning the corner. And as I say, we just have to make it through this year and get to next year, and I'm sure it'll be clear sailing for the next 150 years. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for providing that context and those comments, Director Grieve, and pass it to Director Brown.
Thanks, and thanks for the background, Director Greaves. We didn't steal anything. And that was one of my questions, is maybe that's part of the issue with the generating revenue from that event, is that they're competing with a rather large event on the other side of town. Not sure what we can do about that. But I'm curious, I guess I'm trying to figure out whether this is like an agriculture event or a fall fair. And I think that's the kind of struggle that the organizations had for a long time. Because as you say, when they do the rides, they make a ton of money. But are they just doing rides, or are they actually promoting agriculture? And I think there's an opportunity here to really promote agriculture and drive the growth of agriculture in this sector. And then I think, well, why is this a recreation grant? Like, why isn't this organization, if it's going to do education and promotion of agriculture and development of agriculture and highlighting farmers and what they do, which I'm totally in support of, shouldn't it be funded out of an agriculture service, which maybe we don't have, or some other kind of funding mechanism? I guess I'd love to support this event. I think it's really important that we talk about agriculture and we celebrate agriculture in the Valley. I'm just not sure which way how to support this organization in the best way, if anyone has anything to add to that.
Yeah, thanks for those comments. I would point out that there is a direct connection with the commission and that we're responsible for the grounds in which the event takes place. So regardless of how you define the event, there is a natural partnership there for sure. Director Arbor.
Yeah, thanks. And just adding a bit more, I think there's been efforts in the past to look at the regional agricultural service, which we did not pursue. And that's not just this board, it's prior boards as well. Currently, we're investigating a rural supported ag service, but it's actually being pushed back as well. We're just hiring an agricultural coordinator for now and doing some actions, but we're not at the service level. So that's why I think exhibition grounds and other agriculture initiatives continue to live in interesting places in our budgets, I guess you could say, and this is one of them. My question is, obviously they're doing good work, and in the scheme of this commission where we're spending huge amounts of money, I just overheard in the staff presentation that there was a deficit of about 18,000 or something like that. So would there be a way to help them clean that up and add some funds to help them erase that deficit? If it's just a matter of 10,000, I wouldn't mind sponsoring something that makes them whole and gets them kickstarted again with confidence into the future.
Through the chair to the director, there may be some other sources of funds, although Lori has told me that they're doing pretty good with sponsorships as well. So Yeah, there might be, I would have to defer to Kelly or Lucy to find out if there is, but it sounds like the community's really kind of come together to support them, so.
And we'll go online to alternate Director Wiles.
Thanks, Chair, and yeah, I just want to yeah, put my vote in there. I know this year is maybe that gap year to kind of get them to next year. I know when Inspector Mercer, the officer in charge, came to report to Courtney City Council, and I did actually bring up the horse ride when he was finished his presentation and made that recommendation that they do try to partner that up with the fall fair next year. Just again, it is one of those things that can help, and I know Ribfest is definitely eating into their folks that are going out and doing things on the weekend, and I've also recommended to the fall fair folks that they should be talking to the Ribfest folks as well. But really appreciate Director Arbor and Greaves' comments around one, getting them through this year as a minimum, and I do like the fact that this recommendation has that secondary part, which is to sit down and see what, because 2026 definitely seems to be that year to potentially get them back on the road to recovery, but it is only 1 year. So really looking at maybe what their 5-year plan is, and how that might have a more positive outcome going forward. But I'd be happy to support this, especially if they're able to get the horse ride in next year.
Thanks for that. And Director Grant.
Thank you. I'm wondering, is there any way that you could change the weekend of this? I know for the Rivers, it's hard because they're on a schedule throughout the province, right? So that it's hard for them to change, but would it matter if you were a week before or a week after?
Go ahead, Director Graves.
Well, we do have Lori Ball in the audience here, and I think she would answer much like Ribfest. There's a certain order of all the fall fairs, and because you get some of the same competitors, the same judges, and whatever, unfortunately, they're locked into this date as well. So it'd be very difficult to move it. I know at one time I think the fall fair was like the second week of September when I grew up. It really was a fall fair, right? But over the years it's changed, and they sort of, now they've held this time slot for quite a long time. It'd be difficult to change it. But it doesn't just, I mean, just take a look at, take Comox, for instance, with Nautical Days and the Philbrook Festival. They kind of competed for years, and now they're actually working together, which is great. I think that's what we have to do.
Yeah, thanks for that. And it's nice to have you land on the final comment. I don't see any more other lights on, so we'll dispense with receipt. Anyone opposed to receipt? And we'll move on to the recommendation. And any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. And moving on, more good news today. Approval to add the Village of Cumberland as a participant to service 601 track and fields.
Second.
And I'll pass this to staff.
Thanks. And again, Trish Morgan, our Assistant Senior Manager of Recreation Services, will introduce this report. Trish, over to you.
Thank you. So I'm very pleased to report today to the Commission that the Village of Cumberland has decided that they would like to join the track and field service starting in 2026. This is very exciting because it truly supports regional collaboration as we continue to work through some of the very important initiatives in the Recreation Strategic Plan, like the Regional Field Allocation Policy and Booking System and the Field Amenities Plan. I'm not going to say too much about it because I think Director Brown would like to say a few words, so I'll just focus on the next steps. So after this meeting, Legislative Services will bring forward an amending bylaw for the board's consideration for 3 readings at a future board meeting. Pending that approval from the board, the bylaw will then be forwarded to the service participants for their consent to adopt the bylaw. And once the consent of at least 2/3 of the participants is obtained, then the bylaw can be forwarded to the Inspector of Municipalities for approval prior to board adoption. So the recommendation from staff today is that staff be directed to prepare an amendment to bylaw number 2353, being the Comox Valley Sports Track and Field Service Conversion Bylaw, number 2353, 2001, to include the Village of Cumberland as a participant in the Comox Valley Track and Field Services starting in 2026. And further, that participating area approval for the amending bylaw be sought by way of consent of the service participants. Are there any questions?
Thanks for that. And I'll hand it right over to Director Brown.
Thanks, and thanks so much for that. I did want to say a few words. Firstly, that Cumberland Council is keen to be a good regional partner, and we are, as best as we can, participating in all the services that we can. I think part of the initial resistance was the timing of the request. So that's some feedback I can give, that had we been invited to participate in the strategic planning process, and I understand that yes, we did have a director there, but because we were not part of the service, I think if we had been invited to be a part of the service prior to the strategic planning, it would have helped us wrap our heads around the whole process. And be more informed about the needs of the valley as a whole. So that was the first thing. The second thing, we clearly had some reservations about the environmental impacts of a second turf field, and took some time to consider that, and recognizing that that turf field was going to happen whether we participated or not. Secondly, the cost of the service was a huge impediment for us. So that we have a very small tax base and $50 additional tax, which I think was the original guesstimate at what it would be for our residents, was just too much for us to do at that time. And so I very much appreciate the process we went through to re-envision how we funded that project. And getting that cost down for our residents was key for us to be able to join the service. And also just reflecting on the fact that we are, I think, still the youngest community in the valley, and everybody's got a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids in Cumberland, and they are all participating in regional services because we just don't have the capacity to provide those services in-house. So I appreciate the board's patience with our decision-making, and I'm so happy that we have joined the service and now everyone's there.
Thanks so much for sharing those comments, Director Brown. It's great to be at this place. I wasn't expecting that this would be the outcome. I know that there was an expression of interest in participating in some way for fee for service, but I think this really reflects both how we use our fields in our community, but also a long-term vision of what that looks like. And currently what it looks like is putting in a new facility at Vanier, but this community is growing, and as you point out, Cumberland has a lot of young families, and I think that there's lots of opportunities to work together as a region to make sure that we're providing good field services around the Comox Valley, and not just strictly at the track and field and artificial turf complexes. So thank you very much to Cumberland Council for seeing this through and working on the challenges that you outlined. I see no lights on. I guess it's really not a controversial thing at this point. So I'll dispense with the receipt. Anyone opposed? And we'll move on to the recommendation. Any further discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that's carried. And the Comox Valley Sports Center 50th anniversary event update. And I'll pass this over to staff. Thank you again, Trish.
You're welcome.
So the Sports Center is turning 50 this year, and in celebration of that major milestone anniversary, the rec team has been planning some really fun activities and events to help celebrate. So we will be having a celebratory day on September 6th with a number of activities, but leading up to that, we're going to try to build some excitement for that event by having some lead up events. The first is going to be 50 days of giveaways. We're starting on August 7th through to September 25th. One patron per day for 50 days will win free admission for the day. So they'll come in and we're going to kind of randomize the selection, and depending on what number you are, you may get a free pass that day. We will also be hosting a photo contest where community members can submit photos of events or activities at the Sports Center from the last 50 years. Every valid photo submission will receive a day pass and will be entered to win a 3-month family pass. Some of those photos are going to be used on September 6th to share memories of the facility, our staff, and patrons over the last 50 years. And last but not least, leading up to the event, we're going to be hosting a staff jersey day where we will be encouraging our staff to wear their favorite jersey, and we'll have some fun prizes for some of the best ones. Then on September 6th, Saturday, September 6th, some of the events we have planned is a retro aquafit class in the Sports Center pool. Then we'll have a cake cutting event from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, a public swim, 3:45 to 5:15, a public skate, and then a poolside movie from 6 to 8 o'clock, where we're hoping we will be able to show Jaws, which is also turning 50 this year. All of these will be offered at 1975 prices. So for children under 12 and seniors, that will be 30 cents. For youth and teens, 45 cents, and adults, it'll be 75 cents. We'll have the Raven 100.7 also on site doing a live on location broadcast. And there's going to be some other activities throughout the day and some other prizes. We've got some plans to do some painting pet rocks because that was the top toy in 1975. A contest where patrons will try to identify the retro items over the last 50 years, like 8-tracks and the Atari game system, Walkmans, different things like that, along with our photo display of the Sports Center over the last 50 years. And we're also looking for, we talked about it today, looking for examples of retro sports equipment in the Sears catalog over the last 50 years. So we hope everyone can pop by to celebrate. It's going to be a great day. All the commission members should be receiving an invite from Jade today or tomorrow as a reminder. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. Are there any questions?
Thanks for the presentation and putting this together. It looks like it's going to be a fun event. And yeah, not only is the Sports Center and Jaws turning 50, but it seems like a lot of people I know are also turning 50. Puts in context how old our main recreation center is. Director Grave.
To be 50 again. I got a question just related to this event, and it might be a good dovetail. You're probably aware that Tom Moore and a number of people in the Valley are working on a Comox Valley Sports Hall of Fame initiative. And it's no secret that Comox Valley has produced both pro and amateur sports championships, Olympian and world champions, major league players in a lot of sports. So I'm just wondering if this wouldn't be an opportunity to kind of launch that as well. So I don't know if you got some liaison going on with that group or not. Have they approached you? Because I think they're working independently of government. Go figure.
Through the chair to Director Grave. I know Jennifer has been having some discussions with them, but that's actually a great idea that even if nothing else, we could probably include something in there highlighting some of the athletes that have come out of the Comox Valley.
Because a lot of other jurisdictions do that. They already have, and you acknowledge the people for their contribution over the years. And, we have more than our share. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I have had some conversations with some of the organizers, and I think one of the challenges is just arriving on where the best place is for it. But I think incorporating, even if it doesn't end up being permanent in the facility, I think that would be a really great addition to the day. And maybe pulling in some people that wouldn't necessarily, come in for a public swim or a skate. So thanks for that suggestion. Director Hillian.
Thanks, Chair. And I just want to dispel a rumor that's going around. There's absolutely no truth that Director Grieve and I have been asked to pose as pet rocks. But seriously, it sounds like a wonderful event. I did want to get some clarification. How do you actually do a poolside movie, and how do you keep your popcorn dry?
That's a good question. That's a question for the lifeguards. I think they're become very adept at corralling the children. But we do have a screen that we can put up, and then yeah, and there's going to be some other fun things going on there. Sometimes I think they do get a little bit messy, these poolside events. We have a lot of pool parties. So, and sometimes they're slimy pool parties, but yeah.
There may or may not be soggy popcorn.
Yeah.
Director Morin.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, sounds like tons of fun. I know I don't always spare you my anecdotes, but I do remember the rink opening, and I was a regular Sunday skater when I was a preteen. So I remember those rink days very well. I don't think I have a photograph because I had a Brownie camera at the time, and I'm not sure where my Brownie photos are at this point, but I also remember Jaws. So yeah, it just sounds like a super fun event, and yeah, hats off to you for you and your staff planning it. Thank you.
Thanks for those comments and sharing those memories of our facility. There is no recommendation with this report. It's really for an update and and an opportunity to provide some input, which Director Grieve made a great suggestion. So we'll dispense with receipt. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that's carried, and that brings us to termination.
Good.
And we're done.